starting to miss us after a 2-month layoff. The boys are back in town. We're out of hibernation, and we're bringing you a fresh edition of the OH.Report video podcast. I'm Brian Skoronsky. It's been a great last couple of weeks of sports overall. Obviously, the girls' basketball teams were all crowning state champions this past weekend down in Dayton. The boys are to the Final Four. We had ice hockey champions, wrestling, 3 state champs right here out of Richland County this year. That's the best that we have ever done. And a lot more still to come here with the boys coming up here with basketball this next week. And, of course, Selection Sunday yesterday. So there's a lot of great things going on, not just in the Buckeye State, but just in sports in general, including some history that's been made as well. And with that, we'll bring in studio, Mr. Jonathan Langdon, who's with me. Had to work on a Sunday, but you did see something cool with Malvern, and first time that the Hornets are ever doing what they're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great to follow along with the Malvern Hornets. They've got a great story. We're going to be following along with them as they go into state as well. But we're going to talk a little bit more about the boys basketball side of things. Of course, ladies first here on the podcast, as we're going to jump into the girls state tournament results here in a moment. But really exciting couple of weeks. This is one of those times of the year where I kind of get excited because I was a basketball guy in high school. and the opportunity to cover the highest level at regionals, also districts, and just kind of be all over the state here this year with the OH Report finally starting to live up to that name as we kind of make our rounds now, Brian.
I got my frequent flyer miles in. If I just think back to my week, Wednesday, I'm in Toledo. Thursday, I'm in Cincinnati. Friday, I'm in Dayton. Saturday, I'm in Worcester. And then Sunday, yesterday, I go down to Sunbury, Columbus area. So we were all over the place, to your point, and we saw everything. And speaking of being all over the place, how about in a basement somewhere? I think over in Northeast Ohio is Travis Berardi sighting. So let's welcome in Travis as well, who definitely got in his miles on the highway. I think he told me a 3-hour drive to go from home to Bowling Green, and then he met me down in Dayton for a night, and then, oh man, back to the other corners of the universe. So what's going on, Trav? How many miles on your vehicle these days? What's old Baby Blue up to?
Oh, good. It's over 184,000 miles at least. But yeah, so Tuesday, Barberton was only a half-hour drive. Wednesday, Worcester, half-hour drive. Then Thursday, Bowling Green, 3-hour drive. 2 hours south to Dayton. 3 hours back to Barberton. 3 hours back to the Bowling Green, 3 hours back home. So it's I don't even know what day it is. Literally, I don't know what day it is. But had a chance to also go down just a little bit south of me, 20 minutes to Strasburg to talk to a few state champions. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I do want to ask you, Brian, that Margaretta game yesterday. I had it on the computer as I was recovering, a little bit under the weather from all the traveling, but I'm good now. That was a tough way for Margaretta to lose that. I mean, they had a big lead, kind of let it lose away, and then Columbus Academy just took over at the end of the game and in the fourth in the overtime. It was a crazy game to watch.
All-time classic. What I liked most about it is the two D1 commits in the game both did their thing. You're talking about Singleton with 34 points, but Julian on the other side had 32 points. They both led the team in rebounding. They made big-time plays, and it felt like there were 3 occasions where Julian Washington had the game-winning bucket, but Jason Singleton just would not let it be the end of his career, and shorthanded too. That's one of the craziest storylines I've ever heard, period, is that they got kids that didn't know that they were going to be going on to state, didn't think that they had what it took this year to get that far, go back down to Dayton. So I believe the number is 6 that are on vacation for the week and will not be available, including one of their best players who's committed to Northwestern. So for Jason Singleton to throw that team on his back at the end of the game, and if you haven't seen the final clip, any of you out there, scroll real quick on the Facebook and look at Julian hit what you think is the game winner with 6 seconds left in overtime, and then Jason swerve in between everybody and lay it up and gets a friendly hop as time expires to force the double OT. It was lights out, and in the words of my good friend Chris Bliley, if this was a book, it would be an all-time bestseller. I love that line, and it's so true because it was such a fun game. Hey, if I'm going to work on a Sunday, I want it to be worth my while. Everybody that was in attendance in Sunbury yesterday got their money's worth, unquestionably. I seen Doug Ute was there, too. Talked to him on the phone today, and he was still gushing about what a great game that was. So, man, it was worth it, Travis. And Chris, he said he's been doing this job for 30 years. He texted me today and just said, I think that was the most fun I've ever had doing a game. So let that kind of sink in.
Yeah, and I think the second most fun he had was 2 days earlier when we were up at Barberton watching Hillsdale pull off the first regional championship in boys basketball history as well. The guy he's a great commentator here on the OH Report. Glad to have him on the team, and just working with him, that was a blast for that championship game. And that's another thing, once you guys are done with this, scroll down, watch the Margaretta game. If you have more time, scroll down and watch the Heartland Christian Hillsdale game, because we had 2 instant classics with a lot on the line.
We did indeed. Plus, as I mentioned, we crowned 3 state champions right here in Richland County over the weekend. So we're going to talk about each of those endeavors and who did what, and then we have one of those champions who's an all-time great, the best wrestler in the history of Ontario, and that is saying something because they have had some dogs over the years. But Aiden Ohl is going to be calling into the show. I cannot wait to talk to that kid, because what's so cool about his story, he's been this close. He's been a state finalist twice. He's finished third. He's finished fifth. Now he gets over the hump in his senior campaign, and he gets it done. The girls' state championships, of course, we're about to talk about that next. We'll get into that. And then just a really exciting weekend for regional hoops. Jonathan's got a couple of topics that we're going to talk about for the boys and who's still remaining within the 7 divisions in the state Final Four. And we'll wrap it up. We'll talk just a little bit about the NCAA men's tournament. We got 4 teams from the state of Ohio in there, and we'll kind of debate who's actually going to win a game. Do we get a team into the next round from the Buckeye State? I think odds, according to ChatGPT, says no, but we'll see what we all say. But let's begin down in Dayton, where the 7 winners were crowned for the girls' state championships. Some regulars at the big dance. We had some first-timers as well. So it was a really fun, great atmosphere down at the University of Dayton. And we're going to begin with the bigger schools and then work our way down, beginning in Division I. And this one had the most drama. Go ahead and spin that clip. Look at how this game ended up even getting to overtime. Oh, it's right there, right at the very end. A half-court shot for Fairmont ends up forcing OT against Princeton, and then they would cap off a perfect season. They needed that in order to continue their season 28-0. They overcome a 7-point deficit with under 3 minutes to play in that overtime session. Janiah Hargrave put up a game-best 23 points, 9 rebounds to lead the way. But how about a half-court shot to keep your season alive and to come home with some hardware? That does not happen very often, Jonathan. And what a way for that young lady to finish undefeated, to have something that heroic have to happen at the end of regulation.
Yeah, and you do it at the pinnacle of high school sports in the state tournament in Division I. In fact, I mean, that's a really, really special moment, and I'm glad that we're looping it several times, because I know that even still, she's going to be looping it even more in her memory as these next couple of years go by as she looks back on this. It's a really special moment. Congrats to Fairmont.
And they need the miss there, too, off of the free throw. So a lot of things really had to unfold for them to have that special moment. But really, really cool for Janiah and that team. Those are your D1 champions, Kettering Fairmont, undefeated, winning in overtime. In Division II, earning their 2nd state championship, how about Akron Hoban handing Mount Notre Dame their only loss of the season, the team that knocked out our Big Walnut Golden Eagles the other night, 76-64. The Knights had to win their last 11 games to earn the chip. As mentioned, it's their 2nd in program history, preventing Notre Dame from winning a state record 9th championship. It's their 12th trip to state. And Niera Stevens, 25 points, 10 of 17 shooting. Congratulations to Hoban. But that's all it takes, Travis. You just got to get hot at the right time. They had kind of a mid-season where it wasn't going so well. And then all of a sudden, boom, you start picking up a little bit of momentum. 11 straight wins, and they get the chip. Pretty cool story.
Yeah, and this is the Hoban team that knocked off Olmsted Falls in the state semifinal, I believe. Olmsted Falls I saw twice up at Medina put up a very good effort shooting the 3, but Hoban pulled the win there, and then going 7 of 18 from 3, 27 of 57 shots in this game from them. That's just this is a team that just puts up numbers. They forced 16 turnovers. That's why they got a couple more shots off there. 13 offensive rebounds to 17 defensive rebounds. They did it all in this game, and that's what happens. If you can do all those things in a state championship game, you're more likely than not going to come out with the gold.
Yeah, and I think if you were handicapping this, that Mount Notre Dame might have been like the biggest favorite of any team that was going into the state championships, undefeated. They just knocked off Miss Ohio basketball winner. I mean, they had tons of momentum going into that game, looking to go back-to-back, and just was not meant to be. Let's go on to Division III now. Chaminade Julienne would knock off St. Vincent St. Mary to bring the championship back home, as Janae Kane's 17 points allows them to win their 4th state title since 2005. It's the first time the Irish have ever been runners-up. They've been to the state finals 4 times. They won it the previous 3, but these young ladies right here, they're able to get it done, and I'd be smiling too if I was a state champion. Jonathan, what's the furthest that you ever got in a tournament in any sport? What was the pinnacle of your playing career?
Playing at Ashland, we kind of got stuck in the Toledo area whenever I was playing. So we would typically get, I think my senior year, we ended up winning a sectional title. But then pretty soon after that, we ran into a really good Toledo Bowser side that kind of had their way with us there towards the end of the season. But I'd say sectionals, district semi would probably be the closest we've gotten. But nothing like Chaminade Julienne jumping out and winning state. Congratulations to them. Great opportunity for them to just really perform at the highest level. And I always envy players that get the opportunity to go to Dayton, play at these sites in such high magnitude levels. It's not something we see in this area too often. It's always rare. But a team like Chaminade Julienne, they've got a great culture over there closer to Cincinnati, and they're here quite a bit.
Yeah, how cool for the Eagles to get there, knock off St. Vincent, St. Mary. Obviously, they've got a pedigree now, and I saw them in person at the Holiday Hoopla. I mean, they had multiple girls on the team that were taller than me, and I'm an average-sized dude, like 6 feet tall. But they kind of look like some giants when they were walking in. They definitely they met the eye test, if you will. So congratulations there to the Division III champs. In Division IV, Bellevue was going for back-to-back championships, and they had the longest winning streak going in the state. However, they would drop an absolute instant classic to Laurel, who used 2 Tristan Williams free throws with 4 seconds remaining to knock off the Lady Reds 60-58. First state title for Laurel. Lady Red finishes 29-1. They had won 49 straight games. Travis, this team looked like they also were going to be a huge favorite. I know Laurel's been there too. Like, they've had their opportunities to get a championship, and this was one of those. I don't think that there was ever like more than a 5-point margin going in the game. I believe this to be the game of the weekend. That's kind of what everybody was talking about on Twitter.
Yeah, Bellevue had a 6-point lead at the half. Both teams only used 6 players in this game, but it was Jordan Meyer who put up 26 points, 6 of 11 from 3. Just nuts. And Tristan Williams, like you said, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. They shot 9 of 13 from the charity stripe, 7 of 20 from 3. 22 of 46. They're shooting about 50% from the field. Bellevue, though, 47% from the field, 6 of 18 from 3, 10 of 11 from the line. It came down to, literally, like you said, a couple free throws at the end. 2 players in double figures for Laurel, 3 for Bellevue. Caitlin Turinsky finishes her career 14 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists to go for her very, very good career, which she gets, that state championship, and she gets a state runner-up finish for herself. But man, Jordan Meyer, MVP performance, state championship performance, one of the few players we're going to talk about here that just, shined in the biggest spotlight.
Yeah, Turinsky's going to keep playing, though. She'll be at Youngstown State. And I think for a big, she's like 6'2". She's got one of the best overall skill sets that I've had an opportunity to see with my own eyes this year. But remember the name, Ava Jacobson-Tice. She was just a freshman starting point guard for the Lady Red. She had 20 points and 8 rebounds in that game. She was our MVP at the tournament tune-up over at Margaretta when they knocked off a defending state champion. So that girl is going to be very special and could kind of rewrite the record books and continue that tradition the coach Corey Santoro's got going on. Let's check out D5, where Portsmouth also took away a perfect season from a team that I saw at the regional ranks, and I was kind of pulling for them, that being Ottawa Glandorf, who still has not won a state title in 5 championship game appearances. So your heart just has to bleed for these Lady Titans, and it's another one of those communities, boy, do they pack the gym. Yeah. When OG's in the house, you know that they're there because the line is out the door, but they lose 53-48 in this game. Kiki Woods ends up being the difference. She kind of has her version, I'm looking at the stats, of the Christian Leitner game from that regional final in like 92 or 93, whatever, where he didn't miss a shot. She makes all 11 of her shots in the game. That's unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
26 points in the state championship? Get out of here. Ms. Basketball finalist Carson Erford, she had 18 and 4 steals in her final game, and she's just an overall great kid. She was my MVP for both games of the regional semis and the regional championship game. So shout out to OG for being runners-up, but Portsmouth, your champions in D5. And Look at those $1 million smiles, Jonathan. It looks so fun to be a part of that if you're one of the members of the team or the community.
I mean, Portsmouth was a team we also got to see through the NFHS network, and they played great. The Allen sisters were awesome. Sienna and Salem. Sienna had 13 points in that state championship game. This was actually the only game I got to watch on Spectrum from the state tournament this past weekend, and I was impressed. I mean, Portsmouth shot 71% from the field in the first half. Wow. And that's really... I'm pretty sure they only led. I think they only led by 5 or 6. So Ottawa Glandorf, they were just so good defensively, even still struggling to shoot the basketball compared to what Portsmouth was putting out in the first half. It was a very even game. It was just unfortunate that OG fell just a little bit short to Portsmouth as they kind of dug a hole a little bit too deep to get out of.
So that's D5. We still got 2 more divisions to go. Of course, let's keep it rolling with Division 6 now, where St. Henry finishes their season at 27-1, running away from Canton Central Catholic. This was the biggest blowout of the weekend in the championship games. They win by 19 points, 53-34 the final there. It's the first time St. Henry's ever made it to state, and they make the most of their experience in Dayton. Wire-to-wire win in this one. They dominate the glass, too. Check out this number, 37-19 in the game. So that's a metric that you always look at the end. If you're going to have that type of a difference, you're likely going to win. Addie Holman, game-high 20 points in the game. And one of us, I think, just had Kenton Central Catholic last week, right, on some live streams. Travis, was that you?
I actually had him in the district championship game against Mapleton. It was a close game. Mapleton unable to pull it out. Canton Central Catholic pulled away late. And then in the regional semifinal, they knocked off Waynedale by 2. In the regional final, they knocked off Smithville by, I believe, 1. And then in the state semifinal, they take down the Margaretta Polar Bears by 5. This is one of those Cinderella story type runs where they just keep squeaking by, but just ran out of the gas in the end. And for St. Henry, Addie Homan, that name's familiar to me because she's a stud on the volleyball court for those state championship teams for St. Henry. So you got one of those multiple state championships for a girls squad in the same year. You got the St. Henry volleyball squad and you have the St. Henry basketball team pulling out championships.
Yeah, pretty cool. And check out that fan base. Living large down there in Dayton, another community well represented out of the MAC, and another state championship for the MAC. Imagine that. The rich get richer. We got one more team that made their first ever trip at state, and boy, did they make the most of it. And Tyler Bates's Strasburg Franklin Tigers, the defensive effort. They hold Rusey to 17 points in their first ever state championship game. Allie Miller had the exact same point total as the Raiders in this game. She had 17 to lead the Tigers. And speaking of that 17 number, 17 turnovers is what Strasburg forced in the game as well. What a clinic, Travis, for Tyler Bates and his girls. And another community that they captured the attention. We saw them at Wright State and Nutter Center the day before they won their title. And a lot of fans out there in Tiger shirts, the student section going crazy. And I mean, they're just trying to match the overall loudness of Tyler Bates's outfit that he wore in the state semifinal.
Thanks, Brian.
You toned it down a
welcome
little
to Titletown.
bit. We saw for the
I'm at the home of the
championship
Division
game.
7
But
girls.
I know that you had a chance
basketball.
to talk to him. Obviously, that's just a little preview right there. So we'll pitch it over to you and just kind of tell me about what the conversation was at Strasburg. Set it up.
Well, you and I were talking during the game. On Saturday, I was listening to our own David Wilson, who's also part of the OHSAA radio network. Great call for him. He's actually going to call the Hillsdale boys semifinal and hopefully the state championship game as well. But before we get to the championship and all the talk, the semifinal, I know you and I weren't on the floor, but you and I had courtside seats pretty much right behind the Strasburg bench, and that's when we first saw, as you said, the human highlighter, which I told Tyler Bates earlier today. You said that, and he just busted out laughing, so he loved it. I mean, look at that. That's what was the name? Tom Hanks on Saturday Night Live, something Pumpkins. I forget what the full name was.
David S. Pumpkin.
David S. Pumpkins. Yes, that's what. Give him a pumpkin tie, and he looks like David S. Pumpkins. It's hilarious. But that Ottoville game, you're nervous for a little bit. Ottoville, remember, in the fourth quarter went on that 10-0 run to cut it to
Thanks, Brian, and welcome to Titletown.
And, I mean, they were able to pull it out there. And then you'd think, okay, that took a lot out of them. Who knows what's going to happen in this game? And all it did was just pump them up because they put on the best defensive effort I've ever listened to or seen in a state championship game. And here's a stat for you. We're going to talk about it a little bit more in my interview. But in the tournament as a whole, Tyler Bates' squad outscored their opponents 438 to 177. That is
Pretty
a defensive effort.
That ain't too
Pretty
shabby.
good. No, not at all. But anyway, I did get down to Strasburg this afternoon to have a chat with 7 of the state championship players as well as Tyler Bates. So here is my chat with the first-time state champs on the hardwood.
Thanks, Brian, and welcome to Titletown. I am at the home of the Division VII Girls State Basketball Champions for the first time ever, the Strasburg Lady Tigers. Welcome our good friend Tyler Bates and some of his players. And Coach, first, for everybody else that may not know them, introduce the first 4 that you have out here.
Yeah, right beside me here is Allie Miller. She's a senior. Olivia Spidell, another senior. Sophia Seacrest, our 3rd senior. And then junior Addison Cibula.
Addison Cibula. Well, since you're the junior and since you 3, you're in your softball uniforms. Actually, they're getting pictures taken over yonder. So I'll let you guys get you a couple questions, and I'll let you get back to practice because I know you're trying to go for number 11 state championship there. Next year, Cibula will be trying to go for number 2 state championship. But first, you're a state champion in basketball, first time ever. How does that feel? And a second question for you as well. How was the van ride back? Because this guy didn't have a chance to celebrate. I called him on the way back. He said, "I'm sorry, I couldn't pick it up. I'm driving the van back."
Safety first for the girls.
Absolutely,
Safety
absolutely.
first.
But how does it feel?
Oh, it feels great. I mean, it's so exciting to be the first ever team to win state basketball. Van ride back, I took a little nap. There's a photo of me with the trophy. And I think we watched the game back and just talked.
Coach, I think we were talking, the day after, 438 to 117. That's the amount of points you scored versus giving up. 117 points throughout your district tournament, a regional tournament, and a state tournament. And then the 17 points given up in the state championship to a very good Rushi team, now a state record for least amount of points given up. But I've known you for so long. You are a defensive-minded coach. But to see this squad do that is phenomenal.
Well, first off, it's good. Do what I say, not as I do. I'm glad they haven't found the old videos of me not playing defense in high school. So, God bless my high school coaches. But, the girls just really locked in throughout the season. We saw stretches in the preseason, throughout the regular season, where we're we could be really good at this, but then there were times where we would take a step back. And there weren't any step backs really in the tournament.
Yeah.
As soon as we pretty much got to that district semi against Steubenville Catholic Central, the girls came out of the locker room ready to play defense, and to see that across 6 games there, starting in the district semi, was really impressive.
Yeah. Sophia, let's get to the Ottoville game. Brian and I were in the stands watching that one. It was a great game. But you guys were able to handle their pressure well. They kept trying to, get the trap on you, especially right across half court. You're able to handle that. You got out to that lead late. You're able to hold it off. Just what was going through your mind as a guard, you and Olivia right here, just trying to keep things composed, especially in the late minutes, to get that win and move you to the state championship game?
I was just trying to keep everyone calm and not let them speed us up, because that never ends well when you get sped up, and that ends in a lot of turnovers and stuff. So just keeping everyone calm and talking to everyone and stuff like that.
We were right behind the bench. Game ends. Coach immediately comes over to the student section, says one more. Some teams, their first ever trip to the Final Four, it's, hey, we're glad to be here. But for you guys, it seemed like business as usual. Just how were you able to maintain that and then getting right back, preparing after a very hard battle to get ready for the next day in a state championship? How were you able to just keep all of that, composed?
Just staying focused on what we wanted. We said it throughout most of the year is that's what we wanted. And just taking care of ourselves that night after, I think almost all of us napped and then got ready for film and really focused on watching the scouter and watching film that night and getting rest and just being ready for the next game.
Yeah. Olivia, state championship game, I just said it, your defense in that game was one of the best defensive efforts in state basketball history. The points given up is a record, but just the ability to come back out with that spunk, that energy after a tough game before is just something unmatched. What was the energy like before the game? Had the video shared of Coach Bates beforehand. How was that speech? How did that help you guys out? How did that pump you up? Because that had me almost running through a wall, Coach, when I saw it before the game.
Let's not pull any muscles.
Okay.
Me and you.
Trust me.
We'll let them run.
But yeah, talk about the speech, and did that really get you guys energized? Because it got me energized.
Yeah, I mean, it was an emotional morning to already start. Just waking up and knowing that you're playing your last basketball game today.
Yeah.
And that you wanted it to go perfectly. You wanted, so we were really into putting our all into it. And then when he gave that speech, I mean, I tried to not get emotional before because we were really trying to lock in, but there was no better speech that he could have gave before a game.
And just after that, controlling your emotions into the game, because you guys took over immediately. Was it a 9-0 run to start against them? Getting that early run, how much did that calm you guys down and get you back into just playing your tune of basketball?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helped 100%, especially with, I forget which game was it that we got down to start, regional.
Eastern.
Regional finals,
Yeah.
we got down to start. And not that I didn't have confidence in us to come back in that game, but it was so much more stressful, and the nerves, it was just that much more. So starting out the way we did against, oh my gosh, I just lost it.
Against Rushi.
Yeah,
yes.
oh my Atlanta. Against Rushi, that was just how we needed to start.
All right, before I let you three get back to softball, because hey, you have another trip. You want to win your 11th state championship. You want to be one of the few schools to win a girls basketball title and a softball title in back-to-back. But for you, Sophia, for you, Olivia, you said it in the post-game press conference that you're talking with your dads about the 10th state championship. That's good, but Strasburg's known for that. To really become the GOATs, you need to win a basketball state championship. So just talk about that, and you guys, changing the program of basketball here in Strasburg to be now not only a softball school, but now you're a basketball school.
Yeah, I mean, it's really special. And now to get the basketball championship, we are the GOATs now, but
You can say it. You're the first.
I mean, I don't even know. It leaves me speechless even just to think about it.
Yeah, it means so much just knowing that not only individually for all of our accolades that we've gotten, especially the three of us because we're seniors, but the whole team will be remembered, and it's cool to be the first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all the little kids when they came to games, and you can see how much they look up to us, and that means just as much as.
Yeah, I mean, and just to add to that, just the impact that we are making on the younger generation.
Absolutely.
To push them to show that it is possible. If you put the work in, it is possible.
What's it going to take to win that softball state championship and to talk with me again after at Firestone Stadium?
It's going to take the same amount of hard work it did during basketball.
Yeah. Are we going to see you guys back for probably the banner ceremony next season?
For sure.
Yeah?
For sure.
All right.
That's
Well,
not even a question.
for you three softball girls, thank you for joining us. If you want to hand it over to the MVP of the state championship, thank you very much, and best of luck in softball season. Miss Miller, as we bring in the next three.
That's about 8 minutes of the 20-minute interview I have with the Strasburg Lady Tigers. I want to thank them all once again. We didn't even know we were going to have the softball players in, but they saw we were over there. They asked their coach if they could be on for a couple of minutes, and said yes. So it was great to have all of them there, especially the seniors. But you'll want to see the whole thing. We'll have it posted after the podcast ends on all of our socials. Brian?
Yeah, good stuff, Travis. Looking forward to watching that entire thing. And hey, look, we got a piece of the trophy, huh?
Yep.
I remember when the Lady Rams of Madison, they won it, and they almost left it at our place. Did they almost let you sneak out of the door with that?
I actually told Tyler Bates the story about the Madison Trophy. I said, hey, Tyler, it's right here. Can I get a picture? And then one of the freshmen actually gave me their medals to wear around there, too. So, it was a pretty cool moment. But, yeah, he was laughing about the whole Madison story as well. But that's two state championship trophies I got to hold on. Do I get a third this weekend? I don't know.
Well, you got that third to go along with your JV state championship,
Yeah.
right? In West Virginia?
3-point record. 3-point record.
Okay. All right. I forgot you
Yeah.
weren't a champ in the team aspect. It was individual you were shining, of course.
2 games away from state we were.
Well, let's jump into our next topic then. A gentleman who did go to state. And Travis, if you've heard the last name Ohl, my guess is that you're going to associate that with wrestling here in North Central Ohio. They've had a long lineage, especially at Ontario, where they had a state champion in 1986 in Perry. And then they also had Monty won it in 1990. But they hadn't had an Ohl win a state championship since then until now. Just yesterday, joining the pantheon of great Ontario wrestlers and, of course, making the Ohl family proud, please welcome 120-pound champion, Aiden Ohl. What's up, buddy?
Yes, sir. What's up?
Hey, man, we're living life, but not as large as you right now. So just take me through, like, your last 30 hours since you went state. Like, I bet your phone's been blowing up like crazy. Who's been contacting you? How did you celebrate? Take me through the whirlwind of the last day, like, in your shoes.
I still don't really believe it, to be honest with you. I don't really believe it, but I know it's real. And I've had tons and tons of people reach out saying, hey, congratulations. This is huge. So proud of you. And I'm just in a loss for words with all of it right now.
At 120 pounds, I'm sure you've had to really monitor your weight. So was there any specific food yesterday that you were just like, you know what, I'm diving in, I got to get a craving now?
Yesterday night, went back to the head coach's house, hung out there for a little bit, and he made a nice burger. Yes. Probably one of the best burgers I've ever had.
Yeah, I bet it tastes a lot better as a champion too, my dog. So that's so cool, like that you were able to win state and that you were able to get to 120 pounds and wrestle. Like, what is that process like for you in terms of cutting weight? Because I've never had to do it before. I've talked to wrestlers and they all have like their own specific strategy. So what weight are you normally walking around at? And then what is your technique for getting to 120?
So during the summer, I think the highest I got up to was like 145, which I usually walk around at like 140, anywhere from like 135 to 140. And I like trying to lose all my weight in the room, you know, just like practicing really hard, only wearing like a long sleeve and a crew neck and sweatpants. But if I need to cut weight outside the room, I usually just go for a run or I'll go to the gym and get on the treadmill for a while.
Yeah, there's a lot to it that us basketball players could never really understand. What it takes to be able to get into the position where you can actually wrestle. Before you get to state championships, you see the bracket laid out. The last 3 years, brother, you've been so close. You had the 5th place finish, runner-up a couple of years ago, and then 3rd last year. Give me some of your insight as far as the mentality and how you prepared going into the championships. I know you want to end up in that exclusive club. Your last name's Ohl. How did you get ready for this ultimate glory?
I knew it was going to be tough. I knew I wasn't on the easy side of the bracket, and it turned out that 5 of the 8 placers were from my side of the bracket. But I don't know. I just had a great mentality going into it, thinking that, hey, I am, in my mind, the returning state champ, and I'm going to go get another one right now. And I just need to take it one match at a time and trust in God's plan.
Put us in your shoes right before that championship match then with Gavin Genovese. You've already experienced a little bit of heartbreak the last couple of years. How do you get yourself ready? Are you listening to music? Are you talking to your coach? Are you feeding off of the crowd? Are you trying to block them out? What exactly went down like the couple of minutes right before you go take the mat? Well, it looks like Aiden is frozen at the moment. Aiden, if you can hear me, maybe log out, log back in, and we'll just keep looking at all these glorious pictures. Shout out, pics by Jill. Jill Slosher got some really awesome shots here of this state championship. And, boy, what a moment. And just look at the... It looks like as much relief as it is joy, Jonathan. So for a kid that I can't even imagine what it would be like to be runner-up in state when it's an individual thing. So he's like kind of lived with that the last couple of years. Last year in the semifinals, he loses a really tough match. Just seeing just that perspective right there, it's pretty crazy to think of what life would be like as a wrestler to get to that stage.
And then you get to the point and you reach the pinnacle, and then also just holding a lot of Richland County on your back because you've been there, you've gotten so close so many times, you're finally able to get there. And then you've also got a couple of people from Richland County that join you in being a champion, which we'll talk about later on.
All right, it looks like we do have Aiden back. So we lost you right before you went into the minutes right before you go onto the mat for the championship. Put us in your shoes. Take us into your mind.
So about an hour before that, we were at Pulse, and we were just watching some film on him. And I was talking to one of my coaches, and I felt very confident. I was like, I'm better than this kid on my feet. I'm better than this kid on top. I'm better than this kid on bottom. This is my opportunity to go win a state title. All I have to do is go out there and wrestle my match. And when I was in the tunnel, thinking about it, thinking about how cool it's going to be, I told my head coach, or one of my assistant coaches, I was like, if I get the first takedown, this match is instantly mine. And that was my goal from the start, just, hey, go out there, be the aggressor, and go get that first takedown. And if you do that, you will win this match.
And what was kind of crazy is that you get to come out and wrestle against a kid from Highland. So Jonathan's got a question for you about just getting that particular matchup.
Yeah, in the state tournament, of course, you never know who you're going to draw. You had an opportunity to play some people that you have seen before coming in. What's the familiarity with all the wrestlers coming in, and what's the camaraderie like from guys maybe that are a little bit closer to home?
It's cool. I love it. You know, I like wrestling the guys from the area. Everyone's really cool with each other. We don't have any beef or anything like that, and it's always a good match. It's always a good match, and I just love wrestling guys from our area.
You're the first to win it for Ontario since your coach, obviously, Wes Turnbaugh. I already talked about the fact your uncle won a state championship. Your dad won a state championship. To have those dudes in your corner, how did they help shape your journey so far? Maybe not even just for this year, but the last 4 years to have those guys. How did they help you kind of complete the task and get the gold?
It's just, obviously, they've been there. They've done that. They know what it takes to get there. They know what it takes to win that title. And I knew if I wanted to do that, hey, I need to zone in and I need to listen to these guys and I need to do what they're telling me to do and just follow my heart and just go out there and wrestle like I know how to wrestle. And if I have them in my corner and they're coaching me, just listen to them because they've done it.
Given your family pedigree, it kind of felt obvious that you were going to have a good career when you got to the high school ranks, of course. But to finish as the all-time career wins leader, the most decorated wrestler in Ontario history, does that seem a little bit crazy to you? You said it's kind of hard to believe at this point, but you've been a part of this thing for all 4 years to get where you are, man. Like, just how wild is this?
It's pretty crazy. I'm glad that I could do this for my program. I'm glad that I can bring this to my program. And I'm just very grateful that I can be an inspiration to all the little kids and wrestlers in the room because I've gone in with them and practiced with them a couple times and helped them. And I'm just glad that I'm able to be one of those people now that they get to look up to. And I think that's amazing.
Off of that, 173 wins. You don't get there without some major sacrifices. Is there anything that really stands out to you as far as additional training, missing vacations, consistent eating habits, or anything that you can share that young athletes that are looking to wrestle at the high school ranks that you really feel will help mold them if they want to also be a state champion?
There's a lot of days when I didn't want to show up. There's a lot of days when I didn't want to do anything. There's a lot of days when I didn't want to lift. There's a lot of days when I didn't want to run. And there were days when I knew that I had to do extra things. And yeah, it's going to suck. It's not going to be the most pleasant thing ever. But when you do that, you are just getting closer to your end goal. And obviously that end goal is a state title. And that's what I was looking for. And in those moments when you know it sucks, you just have to think, hey, in a couple months from now, when I'm wrestling for a state title, that's when it's going to matter.
That's so cool, man. But hey, now that you've got there, okay, so you're at the mountaintop. Are you going to give yourself like a couple of weeks to really enjoy this? Are we eating ice cream sundaes and just kind of bloating up? Or are you the type of kid that just in your DNA, you got to be on the mats or you're not happy? Maybe a little of both. Wonder how I would celebrate the state championship.
Yeah, I'm going in with some of the middle school guys tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised to hear that.
Some of them
Everything that I know
just try to
about what you've done. Okay, well, just one more question for you, really, just about, obviously, you're going to continue your chapter. You're going to be a college wrestler at Ohio University. When does that process really start taking shape for you? Are you doing workouts already to get prepared for what that's going to be like? Does that not happen till summer or even fall? What's the next step for you in your progression as a wrestler?
Definitely going to start lifting more. Obviously, I was lifting during season, but now I'm going to start lifting 2 times a day, try getting on the mat once for like an hour a day, and then obviously getting some cardio. But that's going to be throughout the whole summer, and it's going to definitely start now because better sooner than later.
I love it, man. Yeah, the 2 workouts per day to make up for what Travis Berardi is not doing, just a single workout. So you're an inspiration to everybody, Aiden. We appreciate you, man. Congratulations on a legendary career. We're going to keep an eye on you at the next level. But in the meantime, enjoy being a champion, dude. Yeah, it looks like maybe we got
perfect way to end it.
A little bit better Wi-Fi in the Ohl house, or maybe that's why he's so good. Like they're not looking at stuff like that. They probably just have a mat in the living room where the TV normally is at a house, and they're just rolling all the time. I can honestly picture that for that family.
Yeah, his room also, a couple of the things I was looking on the walls, I mean, that looks like a motivated kid. I mean, it's exciting to see him and get the success that he was able to achieve there yesterday, along with some other Richland County wrestlers, a historic day for the area.
Unquestionably, we had 3 state champions, so Aiden was one. And then go ahead and run a clip of who you want to see next, Mr. Thompson, and we will get into their story. We had one other gentleman and then a lady as well, the first state champion that we've had for a girl since they've had their actual own tournament. They used to have the Wrestling Association put it on. Now they've got their own thing, and this kid, just a sophomore, Anthony Oscar, the first state champion ever for Clear Fork. That shocked me when I read that, and I had to double check it. I had to run a couple of searches, but it's real. He wins the D2 144-pound title, and it wasn't even close. A 12-1 decision over Casey Clark in the finals. He finishes the season 41-4, bringing home the gold to Belleville, and he'll be featured tomorrow on the Takedown. Looking forward to seeing what this young man has to say. Still a youngster, man. Doesn't even have a driver's license. I was kind of playing middleman here to get him on the show. And do you want to drive in the studio and be a part of it? Doesn't even have a driver's license yet, but he's got a gold medal, Jonathan.
Yeah, and I mean, he's going to have plenty more opportunities to join us, it seems like, because just a sophomore, it feels like that there may be even 1, maybe even 2 more titles on his way. But, of course, he's not going to want to hear that right now. He's going to want to get back on the mat and prove it himself if he can come back and get another state title. But Clear Fork history has been made out on the mats this past weekend, and that's awesome to see.
Very, very cool. And then the young lady that we were talking about, also an underclassman, Naomi Gearhart, bringing home a gold medal from Crestview. 145-pound girls division champion. There is no such thing as like the D1, D2. You just have to go up against everybody that wants to enter in the tournament. So it makes it almost even more impressive what this Lady Cougar was able to do. And we've got video of what is a thrilling 12-11 decision versus Reese Thomas of Alder to earn, of course, the Richland County's first ever girls state championship title. So we'll have that tomorrow as well on the Takedown with Zach Truax. And her journey to the state championship, though, it was nothing like what you saw in the championship. She was dogging everybody. 47-3 overall record for this young lady. Man. Just it's outstanding. the type of wrestling that we had this year, and Truax told me before the year, Jeremy Peoples as well, that we've got some guys this year. We've got some girls this year that I think are really going to be in the conversation at the end of the journey. And they were right, man. To their credit, you could kind of see it. We also had Carter Trukovich from Galleon, state runner-up, so he got this close as well. And then we had some other wrestlers that ended up on the podium too. So it was, I think, arguably the best year that we've ever had for kind of like county-wide or area-wide in terms of people competing for championships. There were some years not that long ago where Lexington had a bunch of kids that were in there, but we didn't really have a lot outside of them. But I think as far as a collective group of talent, this might be the best that we've ever had.
And they're making it tough on us because now we're going to have to focus a little bit more on wrestling during the winter sports season because they're really stepping up their game. We got to step up ours now.
I was actually just saying to Adam Thompson, I need to go down for states. And I have to see what it's like on a Sunday because the crowd off the video, it looks unbelievable. I hear the atmosphere is second to none. And there's something about that mano y mano at the end where it's just that you're, as much as you're playing for the logo on the front, you have to compete for the name on the back too. And that's something that's really special to get your name up on the banners. It's not, no, the 1998 state champions. It's Aiden Ohl 2026.
And that reminds me when I was in high school is when Ashland had a very good wrestling program and Jake Beaver was up there all the time.
Shout out.
And yeah, you compete for yourself more so than you would say for your school, but still you want to represent as Aiden Ohl did this year. But Jake Beaver, that's what I remember from Ashland High School. So that's awesome to hear. Travis, you got any takes on this?
Well, first of all, in one of those Crestview pictures, Steve Haverdill in a suit. Hey, he was looking good in the suit there, man. Jeez, but see what happens. We get the takedown. Starts up a couple years ago, and now we're starting to get state champions. It's the luck of the Truax. It seems.
So maybe
like.
we
But
have
We're taking
stepped
the
up our
credit,
game.
baby. Got a little street cred out there on the mats.
Yeah, but no, it's awesome to see. I think that's a wrestling state championship is I think one of the hardest state championships to earn because of the work you have to go. You have to go through a tournament atmosphere, through sectionals, and another one through districts, regionals, and then you got the state tournament. I mean, the amount of wrestling you need to go perfectly just to win a state title is just beyond recognition for me. And for those three, that's just nuts. And also for the runner-up from Galleon, too. That's just a phenomenal way to go.
And you just to have the discipline, you're at a birthday party, you got to say no to the cake as a 15 or 16 or 17-year-old. And like Aiden said, be walking around at about 140 pounds. He got to get down to 120 to go compete. So there's a lot of sweatsuits. There's a lot of sweating that has to go on, and certainly just fasting. A couple of days, no food. You're in the lunch line, and you're like, oh man, they have the good spaghetti today. Shh. Can't even have a bite, but you blindfold yourself and just smell it just to pretend that you're a part of the whole thing. So I have the utmost respect for wrestlers or those that compete in combat sports that are able to do that because I've never had the willpower to turn down a good craving when I have it. So kudos to those three champions, and there'll be a lot more tomorrow that you can see on the takedown. We're going to go through all four of the state divisions, and we'll show you every single state champion that was crowned. So make sure that you tune in. You're going to want to be a part of that if you're a wrestling fan. I think we're the only wrestling show in the entire state. So where else are you going to get it, huh? All right. Let's turn our attention back to basketball and to the boys and for regionals. And, Jonathan, we were a part of some huge games this past weekend now with our relationship with NFHS Network, which has been such a blessing. I love seeing teams that maybe you've not heard of before, or at least maybe you have heard of, but it's not in our coverage area. So, like teams from Cleveland or Cincinnati and just what do you want to talk about? Because there's a lot of storylines.
There's so much going on, and I'm really excited to really dive into so many of these teams. Of course, teams that we're just now picking up on with the NFHS, but also some local teams that had their pads end, and one that is still dancing on to Dayton. We'll get to them in a moment. Travis, I know you're excited. Caw-caw, caw-caw. Anyways, Division 5, that's where we're going to start. Columbus Academy, I mean, what a run they have had as of late. 23-4 as they head to Dayton for a second season in a row, and it came in 2 dramatic overtime games. They were able to take down Afrocentric last week, and then just yesterday you were on the call for that game against Margaretta that we talked about a little bit. So those 2 OT wins booked their ticket to states yet again. It was 62-59 over Margaretta, 54-50 against Afrocentric. This is a squad, surprisingly, that has never won a state title, and they're looking to try to do that here this weekend in a really, really tight and contested Division 5, as you're seeing the bracket right up there.
They want that rematch with the Lou in the state championship game, too. Even if they don't have Davis Ray and some of those boys, they're out on a boat somewhere right now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Singleton
crazy.
and his group of misfits. This is a storyline unlike any that I've ever heard. I've truly never heard of, hey, we're going to states, but we're down half of the roster, because they're out enjoying spring break. This is such a crazy thing. I'm rooting for them now.
Absolutely.
I very much am on the bandwagon right now for all the kids in Gahanna who are going to be taking on West Muskingum. But they, too, check out the interwebs, check out Storied Rivals. They needed a buzzer beater in their regional semifinal just to get to this
We've
point.
actually got the clip, Adam, if you can find it. West Muskingum in the regional semis, they had to get past St. Clairsville, which was one of the favorites to get to themselves to the state tournament. Before West Muskingum was able to knock them off in that get to the regional championship where they played Ironton. They had a nice, tightly contested game with Ironton, too. So no slouch with West Muskingum as they had 2 tough games to get here, just like Columbus Academy, as those 2 teams will battle it out in Dayton. And I believe those games are going to be at Wright State, if I'm remembering correctly.
UD Arena is
Arena.
where Columbus Academy and Muskingum is going to be. They all are, actually. The 2 semifinals and then the championship game are all going to be at UD Arena Friday, and then Saturday the championship game is at 1 o'clock.
I'm jumping the gun because Division 7 is both going to be at Wright State. And let's go ahead and start with the Hillsdale Falcons. Of course, Hillsdale, a great season for them, 20-7, first regional championship in program history. It happened thanks to a 58-57 crunch time win against Heartland Christian that Travis Berardi was on the call, so you can give a little bit more depth here. Tell me about the atmosphere from Barberton, a place where I ended my basketball coverage season last year with Hillsdale falling in a regional semi, I believe, but they're able to get it done here and beat Heartland Christian. Travis, what was it like?
Well, they didn't have to face the all-time leading scorer in the state again this year, but took on Calvert the first game, and they kind of cruised in the second half. So I think they had a little bit more left in the tank for that championship game. But in the championship game, they jumped out to a strong start. And you felt like, okay, they might be running away with this. But Heartland Christian just battled right back, got it close to the half. Third quarter, Hillsdale goes right back out and gets a lead, goes up 8. Going into the fourth quarter, but again, Heartland Christian battles back. They actually take a lead by 3 with about 2 minutes left, but Hayden McFadden, who's been strong all year, hit a 3 to tie it. They go back up. Cale Lewis comes down, hits a Dan one, misses the free throw, so it's tied with about a minute and a half. But then the Falcon defense that has been strong all year long came up big. Heartland Christian had 2 timeouts remaining with about a minute and 10 seconds left. The Falcons forced a trap the first timeout. They forced another trap for a timeout, forcing an inbounds underneath the hoop. Heartland Christian just threw it away. Sets up a play for the Falcons with about 10 seconds left. They go into the huddle. It's called Houston, the play they had. It's supposed to go to Lowen Ferguson, who was great on the night, but Lowen says, no, I'm going to get doubled. I've read what they've been doing to me all night. I'm going to get doubled. Let me throw it to Troy Bennett. He's going to fake the handoff to me and make a sharp left turn and go down the lane and score, and it's going to be there. And it exactly happened that way. He makes the bucket with about 7 seconds left, but Heartland Christian still has time. They go down. It kind of looked like the Columbus Academy play to force overtime, Brian, with Singleton, but he got fouled by Cale Lewis. They make the first free throw, and then Ben Ferguson, acting like an NFL coach on a field goal to win it, ices the free throw shooter. Comes back, they miss the free throw, Hillsdale knocks it out, they win the regional championship game. One of the craziest games I've ever been a part of, but because of the way that Hillsdale's played close games throughout the season, it battle tested them for that moment, and they were able to just respond. Cale Lewis and Knox Lewis inside, the 2 best, I think, forwards
the Bash
rebounding
Brothers
in the state. in the
Hey,
state.
disappointed though
other
that they don't
than-
know Mighty Ducks. I heard that interview,
I know.
and I gotta say,
Yeah.
someone get those kids a DVD soon.
Yes. Come on now. Or at least watch Hoosiers this week or something. But anyway, they're the two best inside players in Division 7 from a team not named Delphos St. John's. I mean, this team is very complete. You have Lowen Ferguson, a sophomore who's he's a phenomenal point guard. You have some sharpshooters in Bennett and McFadden on the outside. And then you have Kale and Knox inside that can do whatever they want inside the paint. I mean, this is a team that I really believe has a good shot of getting that chance at Delphos St. John. And if you watch like I said, this game, the interview afterwards with Kale Lewis and company, they said we want to go against Delphos St. John's because we want to see how good we are against the best in the state and possibly against Mr. Basketball as well in Cam Elwer. So they have confidence, and that's the biggest thing you need when you go to a Final Four, even if it's your first Final Four, just like the Strasburg Franklin Lady Tigers had.
Absolutely. 10th straight win for Hillsdale gets them a regional championship. They'll be dancing on to Dayton to face Colida. That'll be coming up on Friday afternoon over at Wright State. That's going to be the 2 o'clock game. Let's talk about that noon game because the Malvern Hornets are a team that we have picked up on late. This is right next to Columbus Academy losing half of their roster. One of my favorite stories because it's a long-tenured coach that finally gets to the state tournament after 33 seasons with the Hornets. Dennis Tucci, shout out to him, 20-9 squad, now heading on to Dayton. It's their first ever appearance in the state tournament, and those Malvern Hornets, they did it despite being ranked 30th in Division 7. They were actually even worsely ranked by Martin RPI, that 42nd, but they are still one of the Final Four teams as they've had a magical Cinderella run. They took down a top 10 team in Racine Southern, as you're seeing clips here over at Ohio Dominican, and then with that power outage, they got a game moved to Sunday. That's where they took off number 6 Fairfield. So they have been tested, Brian, and I'm really excited to see what this team does this weekend.
What a story. To Travis's point, if you have belief in yourself as a unit and as a team, it really doesn't matter outside of the locker room what the chatter is or what the ranking is or what the RPI says that you are. There's such a thing about team chemistry in basketball that you only get 5 of them out there at the same time. And if you've been able to get it dialed in and you've just got a feel and an understanding for where they're going to be on defense, when you know that you can sag off, you know, where passes are going to go, who's going to be running the lanes. Seems like that's what Malvern has going on right now, where they're able to overcome. They're defying the odds at this point. A comeback win in overtime to knock off Southern, that was pretty cool to even get to an opportunity yesterday to play for a regional championship and to coach that long and now just be getting your first opportunity at state. What a dream come true for this group.
And it's in his final season as well. He's getting ready to retire. It's going to be phenomenal to see how he goes out. Of course, they're going to have a tough test there against Delphos St. John's, the number 1 team in Division 7.
They got nothing to lose.
Yeah, you're right, Travis. Absolutely. So they got that win over Fairfield.
House money.
The story of that game was a 14-1 run for Malvern to close it out. They were down by 10 in that fourth quarter, Travis.
Yeah, like I just said, they're playing with house money right now. They're playing for their coach. That's the motivation. Now they believe. They're going to head down to Dayton. Everybody, Delphos St. John's, the best team in the state. They've knocked off St. Clairsville, who is a D3 squad. They knocked off other teams that were a couple divisions ahead of them. Nobody expects them to win, and that is what makes a team dangerous. When nobody believes you can win and you have nothing to lose, you just get off to a strong start, and the longer you stick in there, the more dangerous you are. So who knows? For Malvern, or even if Hillsdale can get past a Colida squad that was 11-11 going into the tournament. They were at 500 going into the tournament, and now they are in a state Final Four as well. So you have 3 teams out of 4 that nobody thought would be there. House money against that number 1 team in the state.
And we've got a clip with Coach Tucci that we're going to play for you, an interview after the game the other day.
I believe this was like 2 minutes.
90 seconds. Was this yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach didn't have anything to say that we want to hear, I guess. But they'll be making some noise at state, as you mentioned. So that's the Division 7 portion of the bracket. Let's go to the big dogs next. Do you want to? Let's check out Division 1, show you who is still in it in the Final Four. Cincinnati Princeton had the girls get to a championship, weren't able to get the job done. The fellas trying to do it, but they got to go through St. Ed's. That game will be Saturday. That's at the Nutter Center, 5:30 tip-off. And then the second game, Hilliard-Bradley, a team that I saw once this year. They're very dynamic. They got some awesome guards against Pick Central, another team that we had featured earlier in the season on the OH.Report. That'll be directly after at 7:30. And then the championship game is the last game of the weekend at UD Arena on Sunday. They've stretched it out to 3 days now with the championships. So 3:15 will be the tip-off for that. It's cool to get – there's a lot of big schools in the state of Ohio, and a couple of Princeton's ginormous against St. Edward. But what I love is it's Cleveland versus Cincinnati. Never would you see them schedule a regular season game likely against one another. Yeah. And that's what makes the tournament cool, is that it brings them same place, same time, with a chance to go to the championship.
And I want you to notice that Pickerington Central pulled off the upset there against Lakota West. That team was 13th nationally in the country.
Yeah.
So that was a phenomenal upset, and they're going to get a chance to play Hilliard-Bradley, a team that I picked at the beginning of the postseason to win Division I. So they are still alive, and with that upset, maybe a little bit of help. Of course, they still got to get past Central, but there is an opportunity for them to get to the championship game. Kipton Norris is one of those guys that we got to see for Hilliard-Bradley. I remember they played that school from Kentucky at the Holiday Hoopla, and
handled them pretty good.
They ran the table. I mean, that was enough of a convincing for me to pick them to win Division I.
All right, let's keep it moving. Check out Division 2.
I got to root for Princeton.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I got to root for Princeton. Our buddy Joe Roberts, is he finally going to get a state championship? The girls' team's been so close as of late. The boys' team, they're getting close. Can Princeton finally get one for Joe Roberts?
Get it for Joey. Come on, Princeton. We know that Westerville North can go get it. They're the defending state champs, and I love the perspective of this team who's in the Final Four right now. They are a bus. They're crushing everybody. They did it last year in the tournament. I think their average margin of victory was greater than 35 points on their way to a state championship. How are they doing it again? I'm not exactly sure. They feel like there's a ginormous chip on their shoulder. You don't hear that often, Jonathan, from a defending state champion, but in the games that we've covered so far in the post-game interviews with the boys from the Warriors, they're just like, nobody believes in us. And it's like, you guys have won 20 in a row. Yeah. Like, of course we do. And they're like, nope. You don't care.
There's a lot of stars in Division II, so it always means something when you have the Division II Player of the Year in Elijah McCree. That's going to be a name you'll want to know this weekend in Dayton. Tyson Perkins is a great point guard. He's a young guy. And then Mikey Young, also another name. So they've kind of got a trifecta of stars. But then you look at the other side of the bracket. Lima Senior taking on Massillon. I mean, I've seen clips of Lima Senior all season long.
So
just
fun.
Those high-flying dudes, those Foster brothers, Willie and Sean, they're going to be fun to watch. But a very sound Massillon team that went up a gauntlet against a gauntlet of a schedule. Only one loss to their name, Travis.
Yeah, and they have 4 players averaging 14 points or more. That is just beyond unheard of. They average about 80 points. I saw them put up 84 in the regional semifinal victory, and then they knocked off Euclid in a great game, another high-scoring affair. But this is a team that gets a lot of shots off. They play great defense, get a lot of steals. They get those extra shots. And, man, they can shoot it from anywhere inside the half-court line. That's going to be a fun team to watch when you get down to Dayton.
Yeah, I got to cover them in the regional championship game that win against Euclid. I think they put up 38 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
and
ridiculous.
When they get out and run, I mean, we've got the play of the game in there. It's to start the game on an 8-0 run, just an absolute right on top of your head, left-handed throw down. And what is so cool, though, is that when we arrived at College of Worcester for that game, Massillon fans were lined up out the door around the hall. Like it went on for days and days, and not only do they fill the entire home side, but then you look over on the far side that's supposed to be Euclid fans, and there's just orange everywhere. So they really do represent, and they will have a large contingent of fans that will make the trip down to Dayton. So you will know that the Tigers are in town coming up for that Division II, and I can't wait to see if Westerville North can get a second championship because they graduated two of their all-time greats in Tyson's older brother and then Micah. The two brothers were gone, so they've got these new cast of characters that have come in, and maybe they've been questioned. That's what they're saying. That's the storyline, and all they've done is gone out and win a whole bunch of games. They went to Lima the last day of the regular season and beat them on their home court as well. So it's going to be cool to see if Westerville North can get it done, win a second consecutive championship. That D2 final is noon on Sunday.
I'm booking my ticket right now, I think. I want to go see that, especially if it ends up being a rematch between Westerville North and Lima Senior. Lima Senior, they were missing some guys in that game against Westerville North, so I know that they're going to have that game circled if it does get there for a state championship. Not only because of the state championship, but they want North again.
I think so, too. All right, let's check out Division III now, guys, where we've still got Toledo Central Catholic, who we just saw take out Mansfield Senior, and we had them on NFHS. I think the number one ranked team, regardless of division, in Ohio, according to Max Preps. Like, I believe it. The way that they can throw depth at you, they play 10 guys because they have 10 guys that are good enough to play, not because they're trying to get a breather. It's because they all have an opportunity to get on the floor, and they take full advantage. Trotwood Madison's going to be the opponent there. So, again, I love that. Toledo taking on Cincinnati. Like, this is what it's all about when you start getting into the Final Four. And then Steubenville, just one loss for them on the season, but they've got to take on Hoban. Travis, I know that you love Roll Red Roll, so that's the team that maybe you would look at. Could be the opponent for TCC, who I think is the favorite. How do you see this shaking out?
Well, this is a Steubenville team that was close the last couple of years and finally were able to break through, and they're taking advantage of it. It's just one of those squads that they've been building the last couple of years. They knew this may be the year to do it, but they have to put up a perfect game if they want to get to the state championship game, because you know what Hoban can do. They have ballers out there year in and year out, and then at the top, I mean, can anybody beat Toledo Central Catholic? I mean, Mansfield Senior put up a fight for maybe a half, but Toledo Central Catholic just kept throwing blows and blows at them, and just won that one by 20 points. I don't think anybody's going to be able to touch TCC.
I think if Steubenville can keep it close in some of their games with Hoban, and then even if they make the state championship game, if they can keep that one close, they may not have the best talent in Division III, but I think they've got the clutchest talent. I've seen Santino Haney all over social media because he's been taking over games in the regional tournament, also even in the district tournament. It's been a grind just for them to get to this point, but here they are. Good opportunity for them to really put themselves on the map. I remember they knocked down Ontario in the regular season not too earlier on in the year.
Bad.
Yeah, bad.
Crushed them.
So that was kind of my wake-up call to see what they could do at this point of the year, and they've already passed the test in my book. Let's see if they can do it against Hoban.
So those semifinals are on Thursday at UD Arena, and then the championship game, they don't get any time off. Right back at UD on Friday night at 7:30 tip. Let's switch and check out Division IV now, where Sandusky Perkins has a seat at the table. How about the Pirates? They got to take on Cleveland Glenville, though. And this is a budding rivalry in multiple sports. They met in the state Final Four a couple of years ago, where the Pirates were a huge underdog, and they beat Glenville and went on to the state final, where they eventually lost what was one of the greatest state championship games that we've had in recent memory. But on the bottom half of the bracket, I just saw Cincinnati, Wyoming with my own eyes a couple of days ago down at the Cinta Center in Cincy, and they're the real deal. They've got some top-notch players. They have two really good seniors, but they got to take on the defending champs and a kid that I voted number 2 for Mr. Basketball this year in Gator Nichols, and they've got a whole collection of talent. And you want to talk about a community that shows out. Have you been seeing these Maysville videos, Travis, from this year? I mean, we thought that the hysteria had been pretty big the last couple of years where they were making history. Now that they've got a tradition going, a lot of the bandwagon people are starting to jump on board, and it seems like that they might be the best, most supported team in the entire state, even though they're Division IV. They're big time.
Yeah, they're big time, and I remember because the last 2 years they were screaming right behind my head as I was doing highlights of their games too, saying not so nice things to the referees, but other than that, no. I mean, this team has some ballers. I mean, we say this the last 2 years. You got a guy named Gator that can hit a 3 from about 40 feet out. You're going to have a chance, and he's got my number 2 vote as well for Mr. Basketball this year. He's just a stellar player. Actually, Adam and I saw him down in Cincinnati during the AAU circuit when we had I forget when it was. It was at the end of July, but he was just throwing up shots like it was down at Dayton. He's a player, and he's the X factor in that game against Wyoming. If he can just get going like he usually does from anywhere from the logo of the OHSAA when they put that down on the floor at UD Arena, it'll be up for something.
That game between Wyoming and Maysville will be the most watched game of the weekend, and it's a state semifinal. Like, I'm even saying that it will be the most watched game even of all the state championships later on in the weekend. It's just those two fan bases are really excited about this one. Obviously, Maysville trying to go back-to-back. Wyoming, they feel like they're surging at the right time. Top 15 team in all of the state of Ohio, regardless of division. So, I mean, that's going to be the battle that of course, Maysville fans are going to be out there watching, Wyoming fans, but I think the entire state's going to be rallying behind those two teams.
That was the Final Four matchup last year, right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure is that the Gator Nickel game where he hit the three to beat them at the end in the Final Four?
Yes.
Okay, so in my post-game interview with the MVP for Wyoming in the regional semifinals, I did ask about that. And the gentleman who was a senior this year, his name is escaping me. We've seen too many basketball players and new players. He said, I've thought about it every day of my life.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
There's a lot of juice behind that one. I think you're right. That's going to be well attended, well watched. I want to be a part of that one.
I think I'll be there.
Too bad it's not at UD.
Ticket.
Come on down, baby. So the championship game will be Saturday, 1 o'clock for D4, and then the two semifinals Friday at 10:45, an early game. Oh, excuse me, I'm looking at D5. I'm so sorry. Thursday at the Nutter Center at noon for that Glenville-Perkins game, and then Thursday at 2 o'clock for the other one. Friday at UD Arena for the championship at 4:15. Last division to look at. Division number 6, ladies and gentlemen. Berlin-Highland, traditional factor always in the state championships. How do they get there every single year? They're going to be taking on Kirtland, a team that now they're becoming a regular in these big games. And then on the other side, Marion Local, who was the team to beat last year in Division 7, taking on Van Wert, Lincoln View, who just knocked off Colonel Crawford. Those games are on Friday, state championship on Saturday. Trav, we'll let you start the conversation with this one since you just saw Lincoln View and then you saw Marion Local last year. Unbelievable size, great depth, and then just, again, another big-time community-supported squad out of the MAC. Thoughts on that game?
Lincoln View, despite being ranked 4th in the division by Max Preps going into the regional round, they said they thought they were underdogs. They thought nobody would have them win against Colonel Crawford. They had a great start in the first quarter against Crawford. Crawford wasn't hitting the short shots they usually hit, and they just rolled with it from there. They play precision offense. The backdoor cuts that they were able to get buckets off of against Colonel Crawford, I may see like 1 or 2 of those by a team in the game. They were hitting 7 or 8 of those against a good Colonel Crawford squad that plays really good defense as well. This team, they'll frustrate you on one end, and then they will play precision offense on the other. They hit big shots when they needed to, and they believe they're the underdog. So they're coming in with that underdog mentality that, hey, who cares? We're playing with house money. We'll play anybody, anywhere. And then you got Marion Local. They thought they were going to win D7 last year, but a team named Monroe Central, I believe, knocked them off in the state. The Seminoles knocked them off in the state championship game. So they got something. They got a chip on their shoulder as the number 1 team. They just beat the number 2 team in Tri-Village in that regional championship game at Vandalia Butler. So, the winner of that game's going to have momentum, but still you got Berlin-Highland on the other side, who many said that they're one of the best teams in the state of Ohio in divisions 4 to 7. So we'll see what they can do against Kirtland. But, yeah. Would have been nice to see that Colonel Crawford-Marion Local rematch because the Eagles chomping at the bit to get back at them, but Lincoln View just played a stellar game on Saturday night to get to the Final Four.
This one feels like it's the most wide open to me. I think any of these 4 schools can really come out on top and get themselves a Division 6 state title. Of course, Marion Local, they've got that chip on their shoulder, as you said, as they fell behind, just like Colonel Crawford had the chip on the shoulder trying to get to Marion Local. However, Lincoln View had other plans. I'm excited to see what the Lancers could potentially do after knocking down Colonel Crawford, getting all that momentum. They'll be tested right away. Top half of the bracket, Highland, I've heard so much about them, and their reputation. I heard so much because I was covering Malvern all weekend, and they were all excited to be finally out of Highland's way in Division 7 to get an opportunity to go to the state tournament. So very respected over there in Berlin, and then Kirtland as well.
So, little up in the air, coin flip for you. Who advances here in Division 7? Out of all of the 7 divisions that we just covered, is there a pure favorite that you want to go the highest on your confidence meter? Who's going to be cutting down the nets in Dayton that you know for sure, Jonathan?
In Division, I think I'm going to have to go Division 7, surefire. I think it's going to be Delphos St. John's.
That's got to be my pick,
I just
too.
really don't think there's any other division where it's going to be as, I think, I don't want to say out of hand, but as convincing as we're going to see from the Blue Jays. They've been on another level all year. I mean, when a Division 7 squad is ranked 5th in all of the state of Ohio,
Fair.
I don't think there's anybody that can really match that. Hillsdale Falcons, I want you to prove me wrong. Please do it.
Let's get the Battle of the Birds in the final day of the year. Come on.
I'm not going D7. Nope. I'm not going to do that to the Falcons because they said nobody believed they can even get to the Final Four. I believe they could get to the Final Four, by the way, but there were other media that were voting saying their Final Four picks and not picking Hillsdale. Now, I believe Jonathan Langdon did say they were going to make the Final Four, so good for you, Mr. Langdon, but I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go Toledo Central Catholic.
It's really hard to argue against that because after what I saw too, the way that they run transition, everybody that takes the ball off the glass is looking down the sideline, and they just have a sixth sense, all the wings, to just get out and run. And they know that the one kid had how many dunks in our game? Wartrop had at least 5 or 6 dunks, and it just felt like it was just within the normal flow. He wasn't cherry picking. That's just how they play. They're just that good. So I think those are both some pretty good picks, gentlemen. But we have just one more pick here to make, okay? Because we're going to graduate from high school. We're going to go to the college ranks now. Selection Sunday yesterday. We know the tournament filled, and 4 colleges or universities out of the great state of Ohio are in the field of 68 teams. So I'm going to pose just one question to you guys. Out of the 4, who do you have the most confidence in winning their first round game? Here's the options, okay? We've got the Ohio State Buckeyes. They're in the East. They're the number 8 seed. They're the highest rated seed, I believe. They're taking on TCU, who is number 9. We've also got the Miami Redhawks, who are just once defeated so far this year. They look like they might be a conference champion and might get a higher seed. Well, they kind of blew it in their league, and so now they're having to play against SMU in the first 4 down in Dayton coming up in 2 days. Akron, the number 12 seed, they have number 5 Texas Tech. It's kind of a sexy pick that I saw today on ESPN. A lot of people, there's always a 12-5. No, I think normally 2 12s typically knock off 2 5s. So that is a big one. And then the Fighting Alex Bruscotters out of Wright State. They are the number 14 seed taking on number 3 Virginia. Jonathan, the table is yours. Of those teams, do you see any of them winning?
I see 1, maybe 2 winning. And as much as I would want to say my Ohio State Buckeyes, Miami of Ohio got the last team in SMU. I think out of any Ohio team, I think the Mustangs may be in danger of tumbling to Miami, Ohio, as they prove themselves, get into the field. Of course, they have to get the play in on Wednesday. But if they can take down SMU, I think that will cement themselves as they deserve to be here, and they'll get a great opportunity to move to the first round in the opening weekend where everybody gets so excited to watch March Madness.
Are you going to go with the Akron Zips, Travis, or do you like the Buckeyes? First time, it's been a while. Buckeyes haven't been in for 4 years. Do you think either of those teams move on into the second round?
I'm going to say 3 Ohio teams are going to get in there. Miami of Ohio has a bus ride from their home to Dayton. It's going to be a home game. That place is going to be packed. They're going to get the win there. I think Mr. Colin White and his squad are going to win Ohio State, and I think one other team. People are saying Akron with their guard play could pull the upset, or I mean, you got to go for the Fighting Bruscotters. But I think, and there are some people saying that Wright State could be one of those sexy upset picks against Virginia. So I want to say 3 out of 4 Ohio teams will be moving on.
I will say, for Wright State, be careful, because if Alex Bruscotter gets in the game and makes his first couple shots, he may stay in the rest of the game and heat up and take down those Cavaliers from Virginia. So, I mean, keep an eye out for that. That was something I noticed in the Horizon League tournament, he's typically getting in, and I don't know what it's a deep team. They play a lot of players on that team. So the Raiders, maybe they're just trying to see if they can get a hot hand, and then they'll just ride with them the rest of the way. I wonder if that's what they'll do against the Cavaliers. We never know. I mean, Bruscotter, he could become a darling of March Madness. Who knows?
Make
Gonna
Shelby
beat
proud,
the other
buddy.
Virginia.
Horizon League champs, though, mind you, that's how they got into. So that they've got a nice little winning tradition going on right now. So, this is the greatest state for sports. I'm going 4 for 4.
Oh, wow.
We're getting 4 teams into the second round of the tournament. And I think that they do consider that as a true tournament win if you win in the first 4. So I'm going to at least put each of them. They get 1 win. They move on to the next round. And then who knows what can happen from there. We've seen some crazy things. That's why they call it March Madness. And it's just getting started, even though it's coming to a close here for high school. And definitely going to be a lot of fun this weekend down in Dayton. So get your popcorn ready, man. It's going to be an outstanding weekend. Looking forward to it very, very much. And looking forward to a little break after that. I know that we got some me and Travis got some cruises that are on the schedule.
Yes,
Jonathan's
sir.
going to Texas, and he's kind of doing the opposite. He's going theme parking. He's going to be down in San Antonio. So we do need a little break, I got to say. Too much basketball on the brain, it will make you go mad at a certain point. Cuckoo. I guess that's it. No one else has anything to say.
Nope.
So thank you guys for joining us. I know that we've been in hibernation. We're out for you just for today, and then we'll see when we come back here on the OH Report video podcast. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and then we will see you with our coverage later in the week. So long.
Deuces.
Flap, flap, flap. Caw-caw.